Hi, Nikita. Welcome to the Power Talk Show powered by Business Talks Weekly. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and joining our channel today. Before we start our conversation, can you tell us a bit about your professional background and what led you to start an email and SMS marketing company?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on, Navin. It's a pleasure to be on. I honestly just stumbled into email and SMS. I've been in business working for my own dollar pretty much since I was no, not 17, since I was 18, back in 2016, 2017. And I just randomly stumbled upon it because I originally started with an e-commerce brand, drop shipping, and doing that caused me to learn all the different marketing channels like email marketing, SMS marketing, Facebook ads, Google ads, how to set up a website. And that naturally progressed into an agency after drop shipping got really saturated. So I started offering my services to friends, family, and that kind of exploded organically with me helping everyone out. And then eventually I started charging for my services. Around 2020 and 2021, I brought on a team and started hiring. And from that point on, around 2021, 2022 is when we started to get burnt out by trying to offer five, six different services for all of our clients. And eventually, after the burnout, I realized that we should really stick with one channel. And that's where email and SMS came in because we were having great results for our clients with email and SMS. And we had really good designers on board, and it was just like a natural transition into email. And since then, I kind of haven't looked back on advertising and just stuck with email purely.
Nikita, what percentage of your performance are driven by email and what percentage is driven by SMS?
Yeah, typically email brings in anywhere between 20 to 25% of revenue on average. Some brands do higher, some brands do lower. It really depends on the niche. And then with SMS, it adds on an extra 5 to 10%, sometimes 15% in revenue to the business. So if you're doing like $100,000 a month, email should bring in 20 to 25, and then SMS should bring in an extra 5 to 10 grand a month.
Understood. Understood. Nikita, I would like you to address this question. Yeah. So everybody is saying email marketing is dying. Do you believe the same?
That's my favorite question because um, I don't think so. If it was, I wouldn't be in the business anymore. I'd probably pivot into something else. It isn't dying
Yes.
because it's one of those, it's like your phone number. It's the only way you can sign up to any platform ever, like whether it's socials, like you need your email to sign up for socials. You need it to communicate with people, business, like I think there's like hundreds of millions of emails being sent every hour by businesses. So like it's one of those communication channels that will never go away, or at least it won't go away in the next 10 to 20 years. If there's something better, that'd be amazing. But I think of it as the railroad of the internet. Like we still have trains. Trains have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years now. So like those went, like those haven't went away. Same thing with email. You need it to basically have any sort of online presence at this point.
I agree with you. You know, the analogy that you gave about rain and email marketing is absolutely brilliant. Do you feel the same about SMS marketing with WhatsApp and other communication platforms into place?
I think with SMS and phone numbers and text messaging, it may not be, I don't think it will go away as well because unless there is a better communication channel that doesn't rely on one specific company, because with phone numbers, it's broken up to multiple distributors all over the world, whether like for us in US, it's like Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. Like it's segmented in that sort of way. WhatsApp is controlled by Facebook. Telegram is controlled by someone. I don't know who controls Telegram, but they're private. I don't even know if Viber is still around. But like all these different channels still rely on your phone number to create an account. So similar to email, like you still need a phone number. I don't think it'll go away. I think it'll just be more regulated. So it'll be tougher to send out marketing communication through that. And where there's more challenges, there's going to be different solutions. So like with WhatsApp marketing, like that's starting to become a thing because it's harder to send on SMS. So there's going to be a lot more on those other channels like WhatsApp and Telegram. So I think it won't go away. It would just transition into something else.
Absolutely makes sense. So, what is your take on the technology advancements that are happening on email marketing front? You have different softwares coming up with cadence-based steps where, as per each interaction to one certain email, there is a chain or a branch of other communication. How do you look at it, and how is that helping you shape your communication?
Yeah, there's not a lot of advancements as far as the email itself and like how you can design an email, but everything else around it is starting to advance. Like segmentation is becoming more personalized. So like you mentioned, like one action causes a chain reaction of messaging. So on our case, like we're starting to see a lot more AI driven personalization of like, hey, this person was looking at these products, you should reach out to them. That sort of like action. So like they took the action of being on the website, they looked at a product image, and then the chain reaction behind that is the automations that are triggered because of them viewing that. So those kind of personalization, it's only going to get more and more advanced as AI starts to get better at analyzation. So I think that's how we're utilizing it, is utilizing it for more personalized messaging rather than like, here's a big discount code for everybody to use. It's more like, hey, Navin, we saw that you looked at this thing. What do you think? Do you have any questions? Is there any way we can help you? That kind of communication.
Understood. And Nikita, so what kind of open rate is the best practice within the industry? Like, standardized campaign open rate that you are seeing across your clients, and as well as how can one business actually evaluate their campaigns?
Industry wide, like it's good if you have anywhere between 30 to 40% open rates. That means like 30 to 40 people out of 100 are opening your emails. I think that that's okay. Typically, our clients are seeing anywhere between 50 to 60% open rates on average. Open rates are very, very important because if no one opens up your email, they're not going to see the messaging inside of that email. And if they don't see it, then they're less likely to convert. So it's very important to have high open rates. And there's a few things you can do to improve that, like having different subject lines, having different timing. So, like timing your emails differently. So, if people are more likely to open at 8 p.m., then you would send that email at 8 p.m. instead of 11 a.m., for example. So, there's a lot of things you can A B test and see which metrics or which tests drive open rates higher. And that's what we do. And that's how we get to that 50 to 60% number.
Wow, that's an interesting number because that 20% actually makes a big difference. And Nikita, I would also like to understand, does domain play a value? If I am using my personal domain to send mass mailing campaign or a bulk mailing campaign, will that affect my domain authority?
I don't think it comes down to the domain itself. It comes down to well, it's not like the name of the domain. Like it doesn't count. It doesn't matter if you have a .com or a .net or a .ai. It's more about the domain reputation that these email receiving partners value you. So like Gmail, Yahoo Mail, Apple Mail, Outlook, all of these different mail softwares have a specific guideline on how they judge your campaigns. One of the best ways to get a higher open rate or a higher deliverability rate with those email providers is by having a warm up list. So letting them know, like, hey, if you're going to be sending out an email from your domain, that you're not spamming them. Because a lot of people, what they do if they're trying to spam a list, or if there's something shady going on with that list, they just send out 50,000 emails in one go. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing that because if you do that, it will mess up your deliverability. So you have to kind of get up to that point in a very organic fashion. So if like today's what, like July, in July, you start sending out to 100 people. That's not really a red flag. 100 people is not that much. And then in August, you send out to 150, and then 200, and then 400, and then 1,000. Like that's a natural list growth. And Google, Yahoo, Apple, Outlook all understand that natural progression. So when they see you naturally go from like 100 to 1,000 contacts in like a 2 to 3 month period, that's completely fine. But if you go from like 100 to then 40,000 the next time, that's when you're going to get in trouble. And that's when most of your emails are going to end up in spam.
Yeah, that's interesting because my next question was, as you mentioned about most spam, will AI eventually read like is the email more of a promotional email and mark them as spam and put it into your spam box? That is that possible?
Absolutely. I already have that done for me. Like I have automation set up personally because I have like 10 to 15 cold emails come through my inbox every single day for service providers that I personally don't care for. So I have a filter automatically reading through my emails every single time to see if it's a promotion. And then I have it automatically unsubscribe and archived.
Wow. Yeah. So in this case, that don't you think it's very difficult to actually get a higher percentage of open rate and a click through where it leads to a conversion eventually?
Yeah, I can definitely see that being an issue down the road when it's more mass market and it's like built in within Gmail, for example. But for now, I don't think it's a problem. It may be a problem 2 years down the road, and there will be ways to figure out around it. And that's maybe when SMS might make more sense because there's no filtering for SMS. That is a really good question. I have to think about that now.
Absolutely. So, Nikita, what's next for you? Like in the next 3, 5 years, what is your vision? What are you doing with Asping?
Yeah, with Aspect, one thing that we're looking forward to is being more of a data aggregator rather than an email marketing agency. In my opinion, the traditional agency model is going to go away very, very quickly, probably within the next 3, 4, 5 years, where AI is going to be able to replace the actual work that you do. And it comes down to what kind of data that you have. So if you have a ton of data on client success, a ton of data on which campaigns worked, which ones didn't, and if you can plug that into a company, then that company is going to be a lot more valuable because you can base that data off of what a company would be like. So, in those specific cases, I think we would just be a data company that knows how to push buttons, and the AI is going to take most of the heavy lifting when it comes down to the creative, the copy, the design, and like the setup.
When you talk about data integration and data company, will you be providing verified contacts to your
We already do that. Yeah. So we already clean up the list to like we have more segments that we create when a client comes on board to segment out anyone that is unverified, that's bounced, anyone that has a spam trap potential, any of those types of contacts immediately get cleaned out before we send anything for our clients. But I think it will get a lot more advanced over the next few years with the help of like AI integration.
Absolutely, absolutely. What principles drive you into this space? Because it's a martech space, and what are your philosophies and principles for scalability?
Probably sales. Like sales is like if you don't have a good sales process, then you don't have a good company. Because if you can't close deals, then you don't have any customers. If you don't have any customers, then you don't really have a company. You just have a hobby at that point. So I think that's one of the bigger principles that I follow. Same thing with brutal honesty. One like marketing is all about persuasion and telling people what they want to hear. Sometimes people need to hear what they don't want to hear and have the brutal, honest conversation of like, hey, look, like these marketing channels suck, or like, hey, this campaign sucks. Like, we need to do better. Like, what are we doing here? So I think those are like the two core principles that I personally follow. Same thing with like speed is king. I think that's like I just thought of that like as another principle, like making sure that you're taking advantage of everything while you can, because opportunity like I've seen a lot of opportunities get missed because things weren't done quickly enough.
Yeah. So as you mentioned about that, if you look back at your journey, what was the one thing that you feel you could have done differently?
I probably should have invested in mentors a little bit earlier. The first 3 years was me just figuring it out on my own and trying to play around and test and not really like I was trying to learn, but I don't think I had someone help me or like hold my hand that has done it before. If I talked to myself from 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I think it would be a very different conversation. It'd be like, bro, why are you focusing on these things? Like focus on sales, focus on getting clients through the door, focus on hiring and delegating, and like you'd be way better off. And I think at this point, I'd probably be retired if I'm honest with you, because I wouldn't like, I would just be, I'd have different growth trajectory than I do now because I know a lot more.
Absolutely, absolutely. That makes sense. Is there anything that inspires you? Is there any book or any guidance that you take that inspires you to build more?
I think the biggest thing that inspires me is my team. like the team that works at Aspect, as well as the vision that I have for the business and where I want to take it. It comes down to expanding time horizon, and that's like a really deep topic, so I'm not going to get into the details. But it's like, okay, what is the end goal of the business? Like for me, it's to retire by 35. Like I have like 8 or 9 years to get that done. So like that is a big like push for me. Like it causes urgency, but it doesn't mean like if I have a bad day, it's like, oh man, my whole entire plan is ruined. And then doing that same thing for the team, helping my team grow as they get better, like helping them get more educated on certain parts of of the business, but also helping them with their life because I do a lot of work to not only improve my life, but also improve the relationships in my life. So if I can help them see something in a different way, it gives
Yeah.
me a lot of joy personally. And that means like they have a better interpretation or they can handle a situation better than they did before the conversation. So I think a lot of those little things add up to just giving me positive validation for helping someone out.
Absolutely. One final question, Nikita. What changes are you looking, or what kind of changes are you looking in the MarTech space that you might want to adapt in the near future?
RCS messaging is becoming a bigger thing. So like with SMS, it's pretty archaic. All you can do is just send out an image and a text. But with RCS now, you can do a lot more. Like you can send out carousels, you can send out more customized messaging, more designed messaging at a cheaper cost. And that's one of the big things that I'm looking for. I'm already having like Klaviyo is going to be rolling it out soon, which is our main service provider that we use. But, like, I'm already seeing it with bigger companies, like, my phone bill, it came in and it was all super f designed and flashy through my phone, and it was like, "Oh, this is really cool." That's what
Yeah.
RCS messaging is gonna be like. So, having that unlock is gonna make SMS so much easier, and I think it's gonna be for the better because it's almost like putting an email in text format at that point.
Yeah, makes sense. Got it. Thank you, Nikita. Thank you so much for your time and joining our channel today. It was a very insightful conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, Navin. Thank you again.
Thank